Thank you to everyone for attending the Industry Leader Lecture Series. Now I'd like to introduce the Dean of the College of Engineering and Computing Sciences, Dr. Babak Beheshti.
My name is Babak Beheshti, Dean of the College. This series is co-hosted by our college as well as the IEEE Region 1. Our audience today is composed of IEEE professional members as well as student members from across the Northeastern United States, in addition to the College of Engineering's current students, alumni, faculty, staff, and a number of distinguished guests. I would like to thank the College of Engineering's Dean's Executive Advisory Board, particularly its chair, Dr. Robert DeFazio, who has been instrumental in organizing this series. Today's industry leader presentation is titled, How to Start Your Own Venture-Backed Startup. The speakers are Mr. Yogesh Shetty and Mr. Yogesh Khachane. Yogesh Shetty is the founder and CEO of Avriba, a venture-backed company building a mission-driven benefits platform that makes low and no-cost benefits accessible to hourly and part-time workers, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Shetty has a deep understanding of finance and insurance business and rose through senior executive ranks in the US to lead business and technology transformation. He was a managing director at New York Life and oversaw end-to-end insurance and capital market technology transformation. Shetty has authored books on financial technology and was also named by the insurance industry as one of the top 20 innovators in the insurance industry, and one of the top 25 financial technology leaders in New Jersey. Yogesh Khachane is the co-founder and CTO of Avriba. Khachane is also a 2006 New York Tech alumni. He has deep knowledge of technology and business in finance, insurance, and government domains. He has worked in various financial and insurance companies, including New York Life, TIAA, Thomson Reuters, and Merrill Lynch. At TIAA, he was part of the group who were granted a patent for identifying a browser for rendering an electronic document. This unique innovation reduced TIAA's call center handling time by 2x. Without any further ado, I will pass it on to our speakers.
Thank you. And whenever you guys are ready, take it away.
Thank you, Rob, Dean, Babak, Jill, Sarah, and Peter. It's always a great opportunity, and it's always a privilege and honor to present our experience in front of what I call as the future entrepreneurs. So I'm Yogesh Shetty. I'm the founder and CEO of the company. Yogesh Khachane, do you want to just sort of introduce?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And I agree. It's a great honor and privilege to present our journey to all the audience here. I'm Yogesh Khachane, and I'm a CTO of Avriba.
Great. So I think we'll go through some of the slides which we have created for this session. And before we start, right, I just want to give you an overview of Avriba. Avriba is an on-demand financial insurance and health benefits platform. We are a VC-backed company. We have raised close to $10 million dollar in terms of financing. And we have grown significantly. Our journey, definitely, I would say that we are a practitioner. So whatever experience and knowledge we share over here, it's directly coming from our own personal journey. We have a lot of scars and a lot of lessons learned. So hopefully you can draw out some inspiration because every person's journey is unique. So even if we give you 100% sort of a playbook, you still won't succeed in building a startup company because everyone is unique and every journey is unique. Every path is unique. The challenges are unique. So hopefully this will be act as a foundation for you, and this will inspire you to do something in future. First of all, it's an extremely tough process to bring an idea into reality and making it available to the masses. Not only it's an humbling and fulfilling experience, but if you're a first-time founder, it's always very hard. I kind of consider myself still a rookie because what happens is every day we face so many curveballs that you need a novel solution. The solution that worked yesterday won't work today. And that is why this is a constant learning and a sort of an iterative process. So with that, I think I'll show this slide, because what it takes to be an entrepreneur, because I know from the outside world, it looks all glimmering and shining, but end of the day, that is not what an entrepreneur goes through. Regardless of what kind of a business you run, it is very hard to live an entrepreneur life. If you don't have the stomach for it, then there are alternatives, which are you're better off working 9-to-5 job and earn a decent wage and live a good life, But this is what it's a roller coaster ride, and this is what it looks like on a day-to-day sort of a basis. It breaks you down mentally and physically also. But the beauty of that model is every time it pushes you down, the next day it gives you so much courage that to wake up next day and to give your 200%. So I think that is the beauty of this whole journey. And if you have that courage, then you should definitely pursue this path. So one of the things about startups is, or entrepreneur, right? You don't need to be a startup entrepreneur. As some of the interesting stats over here in US, there are close to 30 million SMBs. So that means there are 30 million small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. You can still float your own idea. You can still run a business. But out of that, it's a very small percentage of startups, so like less than 100,000 are startup companies, which are in US. And that is where I would say the journey stops. Is basically, as a startup entrepreneur, the journey is slightly different than if you're running your own business. Some of the challenges may still apply in both the journey, but the intensity of your ride, I would say, abnormally increases if you are running a startup company. I think there is a famous quote by Sean Parker, which is very true. Running a startup is like eating a glass and tasting your own blood. And the reason why is because you can still float your own business. You own that destiny of that business. You can grow at your own pace. But a startup is not like that. You only have a 10-year journey, and within 10 years, you are supposed to reach the pinnacle of that company's growth, or you dominate a market or certain demographic, or you be a pioneer in certain industry. And that is why startups are so challenging. And it's also a fun, right? Because it's only less than 0.3 companies are startup company, but those are the companies which can bring some sizable and seismical impact to the economy and to the society. So how are high growth startups are formed? I think the example or the metaphor I took over here is startups are like having a child, incubated of your sheer imagination. And it's like having your own baby. You give your heart and soul to it. You selflessly care for it. You nurture it with true values and principles. And the last thing you do with this is you never give up on your kids. And similarly for startup, most of the entrepreneurs don't give up. And they give their everything to get to the finish line. But it is a tough, not everyone, most of them don't even succeed. But this is how the journey looks like of a startup compared to, I would say, mapping it to a life cycle of a baby. And taking that metaphor in mind, this is the framework I've sort of put together on how you can sort of spin up a company. There's a famous Maslow theory, right? This is basically kind of has a 5 important, I would say, pillars stacked up: physiological safety, love, belonging, esteem, and self-actualization, right? Maslow hierarchy of needs is a motivational theory in psychology comprising a sort of a 5-tier models of human needs. It represents the basic things that human needs to survive and thrive in this world. So it's a similar hierarchy on the startup side, as you can see on the right, which kind of maps to the Maslow theory. And I think we'll cover each one of them in detail. So the first one is physiology, right? So what do we need? I think the mission is super important. And I think the way I categorize this is there are 2 kinds of cohorts in this world, or 2 categories of entrepreneurs, and depends upon which side you want to choose. One is run the world. The second is change the world. When you say run the world, startups in this category are about incremental innovation, maintaining the status quo of the society. Change the world. Startups in this category are about radically changing innovation, going against the society. When I say against the society, means against the normal norms. Both have a tremendous scale of impact. But one, the run the world is working within the framework and constraints defined by the society. And the other one is to rip and rewrite a new framework and constraints on how new world order should look like. So you have to choose your side in terms of where you want to be, because change the world is very hard. Like an example I would give is Uber. It's one of my topmost innovation. Uber, Lyft, these are like radical innovation which completely changed the world. Not in terms of the convenience to the customer angle, but the amount of employment it generated for the people, where it had a direct impact on people's livelihood. So those are kind of a change the world innovation. But again, that was not an easy journey. So same thing with the run the world. Most of the innovation you may see are incremental innovation, which is around run the world. So mission is super important. And second is, the other aspect of mission is it's never about money. Because if you are spinning up a startup, your motivation should not be money, because you will give up quickly and you will fail miserably if it is money. End of the day, as you will see some of the stats in the slides, 90% of the startup fails. So people don't even make any money out there. So it should be a mission. You need to have a mission which will have a sizable scale of impact. And that is how you should choose that mission, because mission is the only one which will keep you up when you are very low. And that's why mission is super important. The second is what I call as information diet. It is rare for a person to graduate and start the company, because I know we have few instances in the past where some of our role models are college dropouts and built a unicorn companies, but they are outliers. Most of the times, an average age of a successful startup founders are between 35 to 45. Some of the surveys says that it's 45, but some of the other stats says 35. So I would give that range of 35 to 45. That's an ideal time for anyone to start a company, because what may have happened by that time, you may have gained enough knowledge. You may have gained enough real world experience that includes accumulating a certain domain knowledge in certain field. And of course, you may have gained enough experience working in startup companies or big companies, because you need all that, I would say, ingredients and experience to harness your creativity, to come out with an idea that is a suitable candidate for launching your own company. So that is why it is always good that the first 10 to 15 years of your life, you dedicate yourself in building your knowledge, building your experience, and the creativity will automatically come during that process. So that's the information diet, which is super important. The third is the founding team. This is super critical because a startup, usually the ideal number is 2. You need to have someone who understands business, product, sales, fundraising, and then you need to have someone who understands technology, strategy, and engineering. This is a killer combination. You can always have a third person like COO or a CRO who is more on the operation side, on the revenue side, but having 2-member team is super critical. One focused on technology and the other one focused on the business angle of it. The fourth one is the funds, which is the most hardest part. This is the extremely hard part if you are starting up at an early stage, because an early stage of a startup, there is nothing to offer, right? There's no product, there is no traction, there are no metrics. The only thing you may have is just a napkin idea or a PowerPoint presentation. And now you have to take that presentation and turn that into a reality which people can use, either in form of a product or services. So fundraising is one of the most hardest part of during the early phase of a startup journey. Imagine an experience, right? If I tell you just go and ask for $5 from a stranger, the success rate is very, very low. No one will give you $5. Now you extrapolate that to thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and millions of dollars. Personally gone through this journey of raising hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. So my recommendation would always be is in the pre-seed, you should raise it from friends and families, angel investors, or startups. First, raise it from friends and families, because as soon as you raise from friends and families, one of the things in a startup world, what an angel investor will look for is, hey, do you have a skin in the game? The skin in the game is, if I have raised money from my friends and family, it's a strong signal for an angel investors or even for an accelerators that this person has put his reputation on stake. So that is why raising from friends and family is super important before you go out in the market to raise money. Once you have done it, raise from angel investors, and then use that money to build something which I call as a minimum lovable product. Some people say it's a minimum viable product, but I always say it's focused on minimum, creating something which people love. Once you have that, you have some traction, you have some metrics, you have some understanding of the market, then you can go back and start raising your seed round and what I call as a series A, B, C, D, E round. So that's like a product market fit. So first focus on pre-seed. The next one is the safety, which is the second leg of Maslow hierarchy, which is in this context, it is market size. Now, how do you find your market? Now, this is super important. So what I did is that one of the secret or one of the tricks of how do you find a market and how to build a product, I took the GDP of US. So currently the GDP of US is around $23 trillion. Now you can see where does that amount goes to. So 21% goes towards finance, insurance, real estate, rental, leasing, 13% goes to professional. So you can sort of see the chart, right? 21% means it's almost, we are talking about $5 to $6 trillion of US GDP goes to finance, insurance, real estate, and rental. That means it's a huge market. And you need to have a huge market, because if you don't have a big market, you can still build a business, but you cannot build a startup company because the VCs will never fund you. And the other benefit of a big market size is you have enough cushion to iterate or pivot your idea. Because if your initial idea don't work out, the market size is so huge that it gives you a lot of leg room to keep iterating until you find a sub-market under that primary market. So if you're going in finance, finance is a big domain. You can do a drill down and you can figure out either it's insurance or trading, but still it's a big market. And that is why it is super important for you to pick a market where the size is huge. It gives you a lot of room to maneuver and also, I would say, iterate. And that's why if you see a lot of startup companies are very clustered around finance, insurance, business service, government, manufacturing, and less around mining, agriculture, utilities, because of the market size. It doesn't mean that there are no startup companies in those domains. There are startup companies, but you may find 100 companies in finance and maybe 10 companies in mining. So this is one of the secret on how to figure out the market size. And then once you know that, hey, I need to go into this market, then you can do a drill down to look out to further see the breakdown of that market. But start with the US GDP, focus on that, and you'll be able to find your market size. The next one is love and belonging. Definitely, it's your product. And how do you build a product? And one of the secret over here again is to build a product. First, you need to, there is a well-known business strategy, which is called a red ocean and a blue ocean. You need to first figure out whether your product falls under which ocean, whether it's a red ocean or as a blue ocean. Because red ocean products are very easy to build. When I say easy to build, nothing is easy, but relatively it's easy than blue ocean. There is a well-defined playbook which you can borrow, which you can implement, you can inspire, you can take a lot of inspiration from that playbook, and then you can tweak it and you can create your own product. An example would be is auto insurance. There are 1,000 companies which offers auto insurance products. Now you may say that how do they survive? That is a red ocean category. Because an auto insurance offered by 1,000 companies, crowded market. If you want to spin up an auto insurance company, you can certainly learn a lot of things from those 1,000 companies, and you can go and build a company, but your differentiator would be is price, because it's a commodity product and you will have to play out with the price. And that's why if you look at Geico, initially they offer a very cheap price to attract most of the customers, and then they keep on increasing the price. That is a red ocean category. So if you're building something in red ocean, you have a lot of playbook, a lot of inspiration, and you can build. It doesn't mean that you cannot build another insurance product. You can certainly build, but it is a very tough market to navigate because it's a crowded market. And one of the good things about the red ocean also is your product doesn't have to be radically different. It has to be just a 10x much better than what is out there in the market. Whereas blue ocean is a completely new category creator. If you choose a blue ocean, the set of challenges would be for you would be is people have never heard about the product. People have never even experienced that problem. Because most of the times customers, the problem or the pain points becomes a comfort zone for them. After eventually, right? Once it's a pain point initially, and then afterwards it becomes a part of their comfort zone. So you will have to come out with radically so different that you can draw people's attention. You can pinpoint to the customers that this is a problem and we are here to solve that problem for you. This is not part of your comfort zone. So that's why blue ocean is a new category creator for you, but it is also challenging because there is a branding issue. People may not trust you if you are a first mover in the space. There is always that cynical view which comes in. Is it too good to be true? Because one of the radical innovation which we did, Vibra, was offering free insurance, and no one has done that before. So one of the challenges we had was with the trust issue with the customers. Customers felt we are a scam sort of company because no one has heard about our company name. No one has heard about giving away insurance free. How is that possible? So that's why blue ocean comes with its own challenges, but it is a great market to be, because you'll be the first one. Even if you're not the first one, you'll be the second, third, or fourth one. The market is huge, and it's always sort of easy to innovate in that ocean. So choose your ocean appropriately based on your expertise. How to find a product market fit? This is a critical phase of any product, right? One of the things is you need to build for customer needs. One of the challenge with product market fit is customers will never tell you what they want. So you have to build some hypothesis and take that to the customers and keep iterating on it until you have enough conviction that you've got something that they need. It is an iterative process. Most of the times, product market fit for a startup companies recalibrates and every aspect of the journey. So it's not a constant thing. Like if we build a product and we see a product market fit, but that same product market fit will become obsolete in next 1 year. So we have to keep innovating. So one of the, I think, beauty of this product market fit framework is basically keep discovering with your customer, and you will get I think once you reach the product market fit, you will get that hunch and you will get that feeling that, okay, we are ready for this first iteration of this product to be launched. And there are some like simple, I would say, framework to measure a product market fit. Imagine I think there are 4 things which I always stress upon is, can you acquire customers economically? That's the first sign of a product market fit. Can you retain those paid customers for a long period of time? Will customers pay for your product? And then can you rinse and repeat your model at scale? These are the 4 simple questions which you should always constantly asking if you're rolling out some unique product in the market. Acquiring customer is extremely hard, because customer acquisition is one of the most expensive thing in a startup company. And if you can acquire it economically, I think you're building a very solid distribution moat right over there. The second is, are they willing to pay for it? Because if someone is willing to pay for it, that is the, I would say, the first signal for you that this product, there is a product market fit. And what makes it what I call as a startup scalable product is, can you rinse and repeat your model at scale? Can there be 100 customers? Okay, can I scale this from 100 customers paying me $1 a month to 1,000 customers? Can I scale this from 1,000 to 10,000? Can I scale this from 10,000 to 1 million? Can I scale this from 1 million to 10 million? If you can figure that out and you know that there is a clear path which can be done, that is where the validation is right over there that you have a product market fit. Coming back to the next, I would say the stack of Maslow hierarchy is esteem, is how do you choose your target customers? This is again an important one. When you build your startup, you need to make sure whether you are a business-to-business startup or a business-to-consumer startup. Business-to-business is relatively easy. When I say easy, means it is because you're selling to enterprise companies. it is relatively easy compared to a B2C company, because B2C, you're directly selling it to consumer, which end customers. It's a huge market, right? But it's difficult to acquire, and it's difficult to grab people's attention, because customers on a daily basis are thrown with so many products and services. Your products really need to stand out. It could be one of thousands of products they experience in Facebook, Instagram. So how do you stand that out? How does your product stand out? So that's the most important part of this business decision. B2B is the reason why it is easy is because you're selling to enterprise customers. You're solving either some enterprise pain point, could be selling a database solution, could be selling a data center solution, could be selling an accounting services, could be selling a financial services. So that is relatively easy to acquire and relatively easy to scale compared to a B2C. So that's why it is super important if you're picking up a startup journey, whether you want to do B2B or do you want to do B2C. The other thing is distribution. One of the rookie mistake every, I would say, first-time startup founder does, which I've personally done also, is being a first-time founder, you will be so much fascinated with your product idea and so much fixated with the product idea that during your initial days, you would overlook the distribution aspect. If I'm spinning up a second company now, the journey would be relatively easy because there's so much experience I personally gained in the last 5 years. I would start with distribution first and then product. You can still have a very average product, but if you have a strong distribution, you can still build a very high growth company. An example I always bring is Craigslist. I'm pretty sure everyone have gone through the Craigslist. If you visit the website, you will still feel like you're in 90s era, because the look and feel, the experience still feels like a 1995 interface, from a product perspective. The product is not that great, not polished, but it does the job of meeting customer demands and solving the customer pain points. And the reason why I'm sharing this slide with you is the reason why distribution is super important. Every startup company need to grow at almost 100% year-over-year growth rate. That's why it's an abnormal growth rate curve. Only startup companies can achieve that. If they cannot achieve that, then they're not part of the game. And that's why most of the startup companies shuts down very quickly. If you're not growing 100% year over year to reach your first 10 million revenue, you're dead. Same thing with, as you can see, the growth rate changes based on the revenue trajectory. But the ability to scale this is only possible if you have a massive distribution. If you don't have a distribution, then it's impossible for you to reach a startup scale company. That's why I always start with distribution, not with the product. You can build the product later once you've figured out that the distribution is so huge that I can hit this 100% year-over-year growth rate. So this is an important, and this is all based on I would say, some of the company stats. So whatever I'm sharing over here is all industry best practices. And the final thing of self-actualization, which is the last stage of Maslow hierarchy, is luck. There is a strong correlation between luck and risk. I kind of call them as cousins, and they're directly correlated, because the more risk you take in your life, the more luck you need to succeed. Though risk is in your control, you can dial up and down the risk element, but the luck is completely out of your control. So there is no secret on how to get that luck, but luck plays a very big role in in the success of a startup company. As you can see, this is interesting stats from industry. 96% of the company or 96% of the startup fail before they reach their 1 million ARR. So that means if there are 100 companies spinned up today, by year 2 or 3, there will be only 4 companies that will exist. And out of that 4 company, the odds, of course, reduces further. But then I would say crossing that, which we call as crossing the chasm, that is a popular term in startup world, is crossing from that 1 million to the next sort of 4%, and from 4% to 0.4, and from 0.4, pretty much you have achieved a stability. in terms of your existence in this world. So that's why luck plays a big role, because most of the companies which we really admire, there has no doubt, or they had a great product, great team, great execution, all that aspects do come in play. But there was always I would say situation or scenario where there has been a one event in the company history that turned around the trajectory of that company's growth. And there are a lot of stories like that. That's why luck is an important aspect. And these are the top reasons startup fails. Of course, the first one is 38%, as you can see, ran out of cash or failed to raise new capital. It is I would say the fundamental foundational part of the company is cash, because most of the startups are not profitable companies. The reason being is that it takes a lot of time to iterate and to reach that capability of becoming a cash flow positive. It's almost a 5 to 10 year journey to become a cash flow positive. And that is why a lot of companies fail, because if you cannot keep raising money, then there is no way you can keep those ideas alive. And the second one is, as you can go through the stats, but definitely ran out of cash, I would say, is the highest one right now. And this is an interesting stats of why top reasons startups succeed. One of the beauty of a startup is, as you can see this chart, even if you have a strong business model and a strong funding, that will still have a very less influence on your success compared to timing of a product or the timing of that idea. Great examples are like Uber. Uber is not the first company to come out with a ride sharing. There was a ride sharing companies even before Uber. Same with Netflix. Netflix is not the first company, or iPhone or iPad. They're not the first company. There has been several innovation before that. But what made Uber so successful as an idea is the inflection point of having an iPhone, GPS, all integrated inside one device. So it was a timing that made that product so successful. And the beauty of timing is, if your timing is correct, you can still have an average business model. You can still have an average team. You will still succeed. That's why timing is super important in a startup companies. And that's why the reason why startup succeeds is because of timing most of the time. And having that element, if you can figure that out, I think right now the wave is all about AI example. If anyone can swim that tide, even if you go and have a paper napkin idea right now, you can still raise money from venture capitalists, because the timing of AI is suitable. The next 10 years, the way I think before AI, it was all about cryptocurrencies or blockchain. From 2011 to 2021, it was all about blockchain and Web3. And there was a lot of companies that got funded with no revenue, no business model. Of course, a lot of them also got shut down, but there are a few which are surviving. So that's why timing, again, plays a very critical role in how you raise a startup company. So with that, I think I'm going to hand over to my partner, Yogesh Khachane, who will go through the technology aspect. And of course, after that, we are open for any Q&As.
Thanks, Yogesh. Thank you. Hey, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So to continue our dive into startup world, for the next few slides, I'll be going over various considerations founder investigate before finalizing their technology. And along the way, I'll share some of our learnings. So choosing a right technology stack for a startup is crucial, as it can significantly affect your the startup success. So the first thing you should consider is your business requirement. What are your core features, functionality for your startup? What kind of a software applications do you need to build? Who are your customer? How are you going to acquire them? Are your features system or device dependent? See, some of these questions may help you decide your application type. Initially, there will be a lot of unknowns. And so go on with what you know about the market, your prior experience in this field, and as well as you can also take help from different experts in the industry. So once you clearly understand your business requirement, you can narrow down the technology stack that most suitable to your business requirement. So here are some of our learnings, So you may have multiple acquisition channels, as YS mentioned before, but try to focus on one at least initially. Remember, you have limited time and resources to test your product market fit. You may want to develop as a founder both mobile and a web application to expand your customer reach. But I would suggest focus on one app, either web application or mobile. If there is no device dependency, you are not developing a feature which requires device features, capturing the location of from the device or understanding their sleep patterns, then go for a web application. Because if you select a mobile application deployment, development, the mobile application deployment and distributions usually take times. Android, Apple, the review process are really lengthy, and they have vast rules and regulations, and you may get stuck in their reject cycle, and so this will delay your release basically, So in case you plan to develop mobile application, take help from expert in the field. There are some non-technology specific consideration you should keep in mind when you are developing your application. Decide priorities for your features. Sometimes in excitement, founders do tend to overdevelop before proving out your product market fit. So do not try to develop all features in your minimum lovable product, because after launching your product, your market, your customer, and data which you capture will give you a valuable insight on what your next improvements or tweaks to your product would be, or maybe you'll decide to pivot from that product as well. But by doing this, you may not have spent much more time, money on proving out your product basically. Time to market and cost effectiveness are another important factor when you decide your technology. As a startup, you want to be first in the market. Let's say you are in a blue ocean as a strategy, or you want to beat your competitor if you are in a red ocean. And you have a limited time and resource, you have limited funds. So keeping all these points in mind, choose a technology stack that allows for a rapid development and is affordable. So one of the major costs in your ecosystem would be infrastructure. So look for cloud solution providers. There are various cloud solution providers which allows you to get your infrastructure up and running within weeks. To name few, there are AWS cloud solutions. There is a Atlas MongoDB service which provide you a managed database. You don't have to worry about managing your database, scaling it, and as well as there are Google Cloud provider as well. Secondly, look for technologies which will help you reduce your development cycle. Example, let's say you decide to develop a mobile application. Usually, companies will develop your mobile application in, for iOS, there will be iOS team. For Android, there will be Android team. So this will increase your cost and as well as your development cycle. So look for technologies like React Native, where you develop code in one language, but you can release your application on Apple as well as on Android. So this will help you reduce your time to market drastically, and it will also be a cost-effective solution for you. Also look for or select technologies with rich third-party library support and a community support. It's really important. You don't want to select a technology where you won't find resources easily and where you have to write code from the scratch. The rich library will help you to reuse those libraries, utilities, modules, which otherwise you would have developed from the scratch. Also, as your startup grows, it will be easy to add more resources from the community as well as get help from the community. But at the same time, be aware of what that technology costs. how it changes as your company grows. Also look for tools and services which have low pricing initially and have a startup program or offer credits. With the limited funds, that's really important. To name few solutions which offer these credits, like Amazon Web Service, they offer credits up to 100K to startup. Google Cloud Provider has a similar program. Then tools like SendGrid and Tulio, which allows you to communicate with your customer using email and SMS at really very low cost. So as your startup grow, you can move to a better and robust solution, but initially you can integrate with all these amazing solutions at a low cost. Some of the other learnings, I would say, which are not going to affect your technology selection, but good to be aware of, is try not to automate every process. When you are developing, keep any non-critical processes manual, and be automate them as your startup grows. This will save you a lot of time rather than developing the whole full-fledged feature. Be agile team and try to roll out a feature every 2 weeks or 2, because the aim is to roll out features quickly, get them tested out by your customer, get a valuable insight, and then tweak your product and learn and create more stable product. Being a small team at the start, you can create a small groups within your team who will handle different feature development, but try to keep your whole team aware of all the development happening, all the feature development, because being a small team, in case of any unforeseen situations or in case of your feature priority change, you'll be able to reshuffle your resources. It's really important with the limited resource at your hand. Consider the skills and resource you have available. You may have developer with expertise in certain programming language or frameworks. It may be easier and most cost effective to use that technology stack that aligns with your team skill. I would say go look talent globally, but at the same time, keep a balance between your on-site and off-site resources. It will help you keep your project or run your project efficiently. And at early stage, I would say even tap into freelancing market, because if you're not able to find out a particular skill set, you can find out that on a freelancing market and you can get your work done quickly. And once your core team is built, understand the skill sets and align your technology stack with those skill sets. And as YS mentioned that whether previously that how you can scale, right? This is always a question, like how much load our application should handle. Do I need to build complex infrastructure from a day one to achieve scalability? Or do I need to build feature which can handle any kind of a load? I would say the answer is you won't know how much load would require, or you don't need to build a complex architecture or infrastructure from day one. What a founder should look for is a technology which will allow them to scale on demand, but allow building initial infrastructure at start. Understand how the technology you choose will integrate with other systems and tools you use. Look for solutions that can easily integrate it to streamline your workflows and improve your efficiencies. Also keep this integration as loosely coupled as possible, because most of the time in startup, you keep iterating, you keep changing your tools. So if you keep your integrations loosely coupled, it's easy for you to migrate. And lastly, stick to the design principle. Develop a reusable framework, because the idea is to scale and scale fast. So if you can develop a framework which can bring on more benefits, for example, in Avibra, today we have 29 benefits, but when initially started, we had 1 or 2 benefits which took 3 months to develop, but then we developed a reusable framework, which now takes only 2 to 3 weeks for us to roll out new benefits. And it definitely helps. And in the end, I would say your technology team goal should be to support your marketing and sales team with a quick solutions and iterative improvements to their processes. As Yogesh mentioned at the start, the startup is a roller coaster ride. I would say get on board and enjoy the ride.
Yes, thank you so much. I can facilitate that Q&A. Thank you. So someone asked, you said money is not the number one goal or incentive, but if you want to take venture funding, don't your investors want to see profits?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, definitely there is a misalignment sometimes because you need to choose your investor very carefully also, because one of the interesting aspects of startup is if you raise money from VC, not only they get the ownership of the company, but they also get the board seat. Once you give the board seat, you're no more in control of your company's destiny. The investor and you jointly own the destiny. The investors, the reason why they will invest in you is in the startup company is they're looking for a 10-year journey. It's not like they're looking for a profit now. So when they invest in a company, they see the potential of this company. And most of the times when an investor invests in you, with the assumption that this company will dominate a certain percentage of the market share and eventually everyone will make money. So it's never the first priority, but it is definitely a priority for them, but not at the early phase of the startup journey. So yeah, I kind of very much agree with that point that during the early days, you're better off not raising money from, I would say, institutional venture capitalists. That's why you should raise from your friends and family, angel investors. Angel investors are the most friendly investors you can find in this planet, because the reason they give you the money is they know that when I'm giving you the money, there's a lot of risk. The products may change, the idea may change, the market may change, but they believe in you as an individual. They don't believe in the company's idea because they know that everything can change. So they are the best investors to have during the initial part of the journey, which also comes back to the second question I saw over here was, how do you find venture capitalists? There are a few ideas. I think I would say one of them is you can either join an accelerator. One of the beauty of US economy is there are a lot of accelerators. If you can get into one of those top 10 accelerators, they can help you to fundraise through their investor network. And that is one route anyone can take. But getting into accelerator itself is like getting into Harvard or Columbia, right? It's a very tough criteria. The second is you create a board of advisors, but you put together an advisory board in such a way that your advisory board comprises of people from industry who understands your domain. And second is people who are deeply connected in the Silicon Valley network. If you can get this two blend of cohorts, which is a domain expertise and someone who knows the Silicon Valley network, that could be your advisory board to start with. And they can help you to connect with some of the venture capitalists on the Valley side.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, if you are considering a job at a startup, what questions would you ask to help know if it would be a good experience and the company will survive at least for enough time to get good experience?
Yeah, first thing you should ask if you are planning to join any startup is what is their runway? Because end of the day, if the company is running on a very slim margin or a slim runway, then they won't survive. So if any company which has 12 to 18 months of runway, you can join that company. And any company, I think that is one of the first criteria I would apply right now for anyone. The second is look at the pedigree of the investors who have invested in that startup company. That is again a good positive signal, because end of the day, if investors are marquee names or tier one venture capitalists, it's a good sign that this company will survive the next round of financing. But it's not again 100% guarantee, because most of the companies do shut down despite having a sort of, but yeah, one is a runway. Look at the company's products. Look, the other thing which you should always do is, if a company is offering product and services, you should just go and play around with the product and services. Because if you're not really passionate about the product and services, and as I mentioned, you're here to just to clock in and clock out, then you won't survive. You will just quickly quit and start looking for another job. So you should definitely use the product. And if you see that, hey, I'm really passionate about this product and I think I can make a sizable impact in shaping the journey of this product, then you should definitely join that startup company.
Another question is, can you elaborate on how you switched from full-time job at a big company to launching your own startup? Do you have to take a pay cut initially if you switch?
Oh, for me, yeah, I took a drastic, pretty much I didn't draw any salary for the first 3 years of the startup. So I pretty much invested all my funds into running a startup because it was very hard for me to raise I would say the initial pre-seed round. Seed round, we were finally able to get some institutional investors, and then we were able to do a second round of financing. But initially it was so hard that I didn't draw any salary. Pretty much I put all my savings into the company. That is how, I think that's the bitter part of this journey.
I think we
On
have
my
time.
side,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
side, I was doing 2 jobs at that moment, handling the development as well as my full-time job. So, yeah, initially 1 or 2 years we did that.
I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. How important is research as part of validating your idea and then putting the pieces together as part of the Maslow's model you shared?
Yeah, as I told you, initially, if you go to a customers will never tell you what exactly the problem or pain point is. So you have to go with a hypothesis. And that hypothesis is super important because that hypothesis will evolve into an idea, and that idea will take shape into a form of an actual product. So it's only during research you will be able to figure that out. And the first thing which I do as part of the research is, can someone be willing to pay for this product? That is the litmus test for any product. If someone is willing to, because getting a $1 from anyone's pocket is the most hardest thing, people will not pay for it unless they see a value for it. So if you're taking a product or an idea, if people are willing to pay for it, you have figured out the right product market fit. If people are not willing to pay for it, then you know that there is no need for this product. So the first litmus test is, even if you have an idea or hypothesis, put a price tag. The price tag could be any random number, but put a price tag and tell them that some of the times what people do is you can launch a sort of a canvas, like a blank slate website, advertise your product, show the payment screen, get the credit card information, and tell them that, hey, we will soon launch the product. That is your litmus test right over there. If people are willing to provide the credit card information or banking information as a payment, you have found what you're looking for.
Is there a way for anyone to reach out if they have additional questions or advice?
Yeah, sure. They can reach out directly, yogesh.shetty@avibra.com and yogesh.khachane@avibra.com. So that's our email ID, our first name and last name. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shetty and Khachane, for the great presentation. Thank you all for participating in this event. My thanks go to colleagues who made this event happen, Dr. Rob DeFazio, Assistant Dean Jane Polizzi, and the College of Engineering staff, Ms. Jill Rogers and Ms. Sarah Hesesta. Please tune in for the next talk, as it will be advertised through the same channels you learned about this talk. Have a great afternoon.